And today's podcast might confuse some of you at home because friend of the show, Isabelle Barker, is joining us again. She normally comes on and rips apart the WSL West Ham women's team, gives us the lowdown on all things WSL. But of course, as we know, she is a Fulham fan as well. It was one of my favourite We Are West Ham moments of the season when we got her on to talk about Ademola Lookman's penalty attempt against West Ham earlier in the season. She's back again, but those of you watching on YouTube might be a little bit confused because from all three of us chatting to Tim just now, it is now just me talking to Isabelle, but work commitments meant we had to get on the Zoom this morning on Tuesday morning rather than Tuesday evening. As soon as I woke up this morning, my phone was absolutely lighting up with text from Isabelle. What time are we doing it? Can we start yet? So excited, which is wonderful to see. Isabelle, first of all, it's great to see you. And it's a big, big day for the We Are West Ham podcast / YouTube channel today, because my new ring light is making its debut. My sister bought it for me for Christmas, but judging by looking at myself in the camera, it's not doing me any favours at all. I know you.
I thought I spotted that as well. Yeah, nice lighting going on. No, you're looking good.
Oh, there you go. I thought if anyone's going to give me an honest answer about that, it is Isabelle Barker.
I always compliment you lot.
You do actually. Yeah, well, your mum particularly. I think for anyone listening at home, we sent out some Christmas cards to all of our guests who come on the podcast this or last year in 2020, just to say thanks for all their time, etc. And we had the personalized ones made up with pictures of me, Tom and James on the front. Now I immediately got a text from Isabelle saying her mum thinks that we're all handsome, which was great news. And the We Are West Ham chat lit up that night for sure. Nothing from you though, Isabelle. I was expecting a little bit more of a cutting response, but I'll take that. The new YouTube ring light, my sister bought it for me for Christmas, gets a big tick, which is great news. Isabelle, look, let's talk about football. You are on the podcast twice tonight, which is absolutely brilliant. So we'll have you here for the opposition view. Me and the guys will play Name That Game next, and then you'll be back again to talk about the West Ham women. A little bit of trouble in the WSL, a defeat to Manchester City, and Bristol City finding their feet as well, making the prospect of relegation looking more real as the weeks go by. But first of all, we're here to talk about your beloved Fulham. You talk on the Fulhamish podcast as well, as we know, and you came on earlier in the season. You were distraught about the Ademola Lookman penalty. After West Ham play Villa, it's West Ham versus Fulham Saturday night, 5:30 kickoff at Craven Cottage. Just no clever questions from me this time. How are you feeling about the game, and have you got over the game earlier in the season at London Stadium?
No, it's like I've got this horrible like PTSD like rearing its head, like flashbacks to the penalty. But no, I feel like I am in a bit of a miserable state with Fulham at the minute. Like between I think the last time West Ham played Fulham and now, it's kind of felt like we've just gone through this huge transition of like so many changes, so many positives, and now it's like we've come crashing down again. It's been a really barren sort of January for us. We've just had 4 goals, 3 points, and up until just on deadline day, there were no signings. So, you know, it's true that we've kind of turned a bit of a corner defensively, but the goals have definitely dried up, and there's a lot of calls for a second striker to sort of support Alexander Mitrovic, and that has come. We got a signing, Joshua Maja, but you know,
the Brentford guy, yeah. Sunderland, yeah.
Yeah, I know you said Brentford then. I was like,
yeah,
what?
Sorry.
That's
red and white
my
stripes.
whole opinion. Yeah, like I think we were kind of discussing this. There was talk of signing Josh King, which I thought was very like not ambitious. It sounded like a bit of a panic buy, but yeah, I think getting that support striker in is only kind of a good thing. We didn't have the funds to get a big signing like most clubs really, but yeah, he's been pretty successful in League One with Bordeaux, I believe, and then and then at Sunderland as well. And he's also been through our kind of academy ranks. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. And I thought it was a bit more of a creative option than just going for someone like Josh King, who seems to rear his head every time it's a transfer window.
I'd have snapped your right arm off to get Josh King in at West Ham, Isabelle. You'll have, I say, we're doing this in the morning, 10:20. So it's only been about an hour or so since I woke up to the news, which I already knew would happen, that West Ham hadn't signed a striker. At this stage of the podcast, James will have no doubt moaned his head off. As I said, I would let him do earlier in the transfer window. I said, calm down, boys. Look, we sold Sebastian Haller, and James was getting all irate, saying, "Oh, we're not going to sign a striker." I said, calm down, not yet. Let's see what happens first. And sure enough, he is right. And I promised him he'd be able to moan on the first podcast of February if we didn't sign anyone. So he'll have already done that for most
How are
of this
you
show.
feeling for this game? Are you like really confident? Considering everything I just said.
Ultimately, yeah. I mean, you mentioned it there. Fulham 2-2 against West Brom last time out. That's a game you really needed to win. Obviously, going 1-0 up as well. 0-0 at Brighton the game before. I think you're at that stage of the season, aren't you, where you need points in those games, and ultimately
wins. We need
yes,
wins.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. And the West Brom game in particular, I mean, that was huge, wasn't it? And to get a 2-2 out of that, I think you'll go into the West Ham game again. I don't know how, or you tell me, how will Parker approach it? Because if from our point of view, if you go out and go all gung-ho for the win, that kind of plays into West Ham's hands a little bit, because we've been good this season at being compact and hitting teams on the counter attack, so to speak, and of course with set pieces and crosses as well. But then on the other hand, if you sit back and play for a point, is that good enough for you at this stage of the season? How's it going to play out from your perspective?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. I think fans have started to say, like, we were so kind of happy to get points. You know, we drew with Liverpool. We were so happy. And now that's kind of still been having the lasting effects on us. We're still like, oh, yeah, we're happy to get a point. But no, we're not anymore. And fans are saying maybe we do. Scott needs to kind of like inject a bit of, yeah, we need to actually go and win these games. But from what you were just saying then, I do feel like Fulham have become quite a creative, dynamic team, even more so since we last played you. So I think
what going forward.
Yeah, well, we've molded. Obviously, we had Mitrovic playing against you guys last time. Since then, we didn't have him playing. We've had Cavallero playing as our striker, and he's not a striker. He's a really fast former kind of Wolves winger, and we've had him as our striker. And it worked against Leicester, it worked against Liverpool, but it's not worked anymore. And now we've gone back to having Alexander Mitrovic as this kind of out and out centre forward, and it's a different kind of slightly different style. So it's probably going to be pretty much set up how when we last played you, even though there's probably been about 5 different changes since then, with Cavallero being our new striker. But problem is he can't hit the net. He's like, his first touch is brilliant, but after that it's just abysmal, and he can't score. So we've obviously got Mitrovic on the pitch trying to do the job that he's supposed to do. But I guess we'll see. It's easier said than done with Fulham.
Yeah, of course. And I think so. Based on that game earlier in the season, because West Ham were terrible, to be honest, that game. We lucky with that, the goal late on, and even luckier again that Lookman decided to try and Panenka the ball down the middle.
Always rubbing salt in the wound. I mean, always reminding me.
It's one of those things, isn't it? I mean, at the time, we said to you afterwards, as much as you were mortified to see it, we were sort of almost mortified on his behalf, because it was an insane decision. But we were awful in the game, West Ham. So I'd back. We weren't very good against Liverpool, but we've shown this season one of the things, very non-West Ham things that we've done, is beat the teams that, you know, on paper we should beat at home, which is something we haven't done for years and years, probably 5 or 6 years since the last season. Upton Park was the last time we were beating teams at home that we were supposed to. So I'm confident if we bring our A game, if you like, or even our B game on the weekend, really, if Mikel Antonio's fit and firing, we've shown he makes a massive difference to our team. We didn't bring it at Liverpool, but, you know, okay, perhaps there is the argument that we should have gone after that game a little bit more, but we didn't. I think against Fulham, what do you think Scott's going to do? Is he going to go for it, do you think, or will it be a case of, well, look, we'll try and keep it tight for an hour or 70 minutes, and then we loosen up a bit and try and go for the win?
It's a really difficult one, because I'm just looking at how we set up last time. Yeah, we didn't have Cavallero on, and I don't think we'll start with Cavallero. So that would mean that we'd be more doing Scott Parker's pretty passing to death style, which just stresses me out, probably against a team like West Ham. Sometimes our play just screams, hoof it. Like, in the most basic terms, it's like this pretty passing to death football, which I think is what's going to happen against West Ham instead of what we did against Leicester, which is literally longer balls and, you know, our right wing back Bobby De Cordova-Reid getting forward. But yeah, I think against West Ham, it's going to be just screaming like hoof it out, because it'll be pretty passing to death. And that's what we did against West Ham. So many passes and never any end product, trying to be like Barcelona, but all hell just seems to break loose when we do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, I think from our point of view, if West Ham bring our A game and play like we know we can, and like we didn't play against you earlier in the season, and we escaped with a win, then if we bring our A game, then we should be beating Fulham for sure. But you've got Leicester, just like we've got Aston Villa before the game takes place. Are you confident about Leicester at home? They're in a bit of a strange rut at the moment. Jamie Vardy not playing. He's still out injured. It's as good a time as any. They had a surprise defeat, didn't they, at the weekend?
Yeah.
You sort of confident, or?
Well, we played brilliantly against Leicester. Like, that was my highlight of the season. That was one of our, I think, we only won 2 games. Yeah, that was one of the 2 that we've won when we went to them. Vardy was playing then, and we just got it spot on. Scott Parker got it spot on with Caballero, and that's why we were always like, we're kind of like, yeah, he gets it so right, and now it's kind of not going right. We're like, you need to stop being so stubborn with your kind of choices, Scott, because he's kind of making substitutions late. He wasn't starting Mitrovic, and so hopefully we'll kind of see him being a bit less stubborn with his starting lineup against Leicester and then against West Ham, because it's just kind of the momentum hasn't carried on since the first time we played Leicester. But he seems to kind of respond to what the fans are saying. So yeah, hopefully I feel kind of confident that we will at least do everything that I want him to do.
Yeah, whether or not that means a win is a different question by the sounds of it. Well, look, Fulham are 18th at the moment, 7 points behind Brighton, although you have got a game in hand over them. Brighton with that sort of out of nowhere victory at home to Tottenham.
I think they're so good.
Who?
What did you think when Brighton, like, they've been our hardest team to play against, 100%. We've not scored against them ever.
No, West Ham are yet to beat Brighton in the Premier League, so they're still a major bogey team for us.
Hard, yeah.
But even so, you know, they've got 21 points. You've played 20, 14 points. No one really saw that win coming for them against Tottenham, I don't think. And obviously no Harry Kane.
Trust Spurs to not be able to beat Brighton. Brighton have only won at home once this year, once in 2020, once in 2019. So that's 3 home wins in the space of 3 years. Trust Spurs to let us down and to lose against them and to put us even more in a relegation fight, eh?
That is some sort of an atrocious record. It did us a favour, of course, sitting in 5th, because it meant Tottenham stayed 2 points behind us, albeit they've got a game in hand. Isabel, look, what's the score going to be on Saturday?
My Fulham heart says 2-1 Fulham. My level thinking head thinks that West Ham will win 2-1.
Excellent. Well, as a paid professional,
what do you think?
I think, I don't know, if we've got Antonio, there's no reason we can't score easily.
Do you play Ben Rama much? No.
Yeah, Ben Rama's been playing.
I hate him. That's like even more of an incentive to why I don't like you guys, because you have Ben Rama.
The Fulham Brentford rivalry coming out there, is it? Yeah. No, I think I fancy we can easily put 2 or 3 in. I would be worried that we can concede. We could, if it was 3-0, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think, if it's 2-1 to us as well, that would be. I don't think I can't see it being any worse than a 2-1 victory for us at the moment. To be honest, I think Antonio,
very confident.
Well, Antonio missed a few big chances the other night against Liverpool. He's going to get more chances against Palace as well. He missed a few. He hit the post twice and put one wide from about 2 yards, but he's getting in those positions. He's not going to miss that frequently. I fancy him to score, and West Ham to bag 3, so 3-0 or 3-1 to West Ham. But Isabel, look, it's lovely having you on for the opposition view, and